As years go by and new TCGs come to market, players start to ask themselves, is this the next big thing to get into? Is there money to be made that I don't want to pass up on? Well, in today's video, we are going to discuss the possibility that some other TCG could overthrow Magic the Gathering. What are the chances a game like Magic the Gathering can be overthrown? That a new game coming along or another established game will take the top spot in my lifetime? That's a conversation me and a lot of my friends had this weekend. Welcome back, everyone. MTG Moxman here, and thanks again for hanging out with me on the channel today. A reminder that if you enjoyed today's content, take a moment to hit that like and subscribe button. Turn on your notification bell as I upload new content each and every day. So how about a game like Lorcana, Flesh and Blood, Pokemon, Digimon, Yu-Gi-Oh, MetaZoo, even MetaZoo. I know, it sounds so bad saying even MetaZoo. It all has fan bases, it all has players getting in there. But who's actually playing the game versus who's a speculator hoping to get rich? That is one of the big fallacies of new games coming in, is there is a segment of players who stand to profit if these games go off big. They really don't care if the game is amazing. They want that opportunity, that speculators' income welcome, that if the game hits it big, they make a fortune. But are those players actually playing the game? Do these games have a large enough fan base to have a chance to overthrow established games like Magic the Gathering? When you take a look at what's going on, and that's what me and my friends did, we sat around discussing the possibility of all these games maybe overthrowing Magic. Now, when you look at a game like Flesh and Blood, it's been around for a number of years now. It has an established player base. It has tournaments that go on. And it was one of the few TCGs that tried to run tournaments during COVID, which I gave big props for at one of those videos because I really thought getting games up and going when we were starting to open the markets was a good thing for everyone out there. And when you start looking at that game and realize that, yes, the most expensive cards, the cold foils inside those original first edition boxes still command a large price point, they're not really selling. The boxes, though, are at a very reasonable price of $100 to $150 depending on the box. And they're not selling. So what does this mean? Does it mean players aren't playing the game? Does it mean that the chance of a game like this really going off and hitting it big time isn't going to happen? No, not exactly. When you look at a new game that is actually reasonably priced, like Flesh and Blood, for a lot of these boxes, it's not like the Monarch thing where things went overcharged and everything collapsed. The prices I'm seeing for the boxes, in case you actually just want to play a game, are very reasonable, and that's a good starting point for a game. The fact it's been around for a number of years and has had a chance to build a fan following is another good sign. But that doesn't mean that it's overtaking Magic anytime soon, and likely not in my lifetime, which is another 30, 40 years of life. It just, chances are it's not going to. And let me explain my reasoning here. Even with a game like Lorcana, a new game coming up, it doesn't say collectible card game. It just says card game. It's Lorcana. It's all kinds of Disney film stuff put together where kiddies like to have some fun and play. And yes, some people take it very seriously. And yes, there's content creation on these things. But when you look at the card prices and what people are trying to charge for the boxes, the speculators are there too. And most stores I've talked to, nobody's playing those games anymore. Okay, no one. It may be different where you are. I'm not going to say it's not. But it doesn't seem to have a good foothold. But Lorcana, even Lorcana, has built-in Disney fans, which means later on some of these things will still probably be worth a lot of money. But that doesn't mean the game is going to take off. Disney has done this before with all kinds of digital games and interactive video game systems they've built with the characters you can put on and the models, and eventually they all burn and crash when Disney moves on and the money moves on. Understandable. Will this game hold on longer? Is FAB going to hold on to be the overtaker? Is MetaZoo? I really doubt MetaZoo is. I don't really want to include it in the conversation, but things like Pokemon that have multi-generational now building behind them, Yu-Gi-Oh, as well as Digimon. So these things have been around for 15, 20 years, and they're still going in some cases. They still have their fans. But are the fans growing? All of these companies, including Magic the Gathering, to win the war of attrition, against other TCGs, you have to broaden your player base. You've got to build it out. So which game has the most likelihood of building them out? Well, Lorcana, I'm going to scratch off that list. It's pretty expensive. MetaZoo, I don't think appeals to a large enough audience of players to make it go anywhere. But Flesh and Blood, with boxes at a reasonable price of $100, give or take, I would normally have said would have a chance at building if somebody's looking for something new. But that means you have to have enough Magic players, because there's only so many players out there. And there's only so much time. So you have to have a major rejection of Magic players, and those players have to be infused into a game of Flesh and Blood to have it grow to a certain level, to ever be considered a threat. And we all know, just like on YouTube here, the idea of getting new subscribers and growing your channel, it's difficult to do. It's not the early heydays of Magic the Gathering. It's not the early days of YouTube where everyone was just excited to see content they cared about, so they would subscribe to everything. Players get selective. YouTube content gets selective, which means it is harder and harder to draw people, hold on to the audience, stimulate them enough with the concept of the game to have them stick around as a long-term person. But what I do know happens is players on that speculation side like to just draw up and drum up everything, saying everyone's playing this game, it's amazing. And it's no different for a game like Sorcery. There are people who have a vested interest in it succeeding. They've got first edition boxes, they got unlimited, whatever you want to call it. I'm not saying the game's not good for all these games. I'm not saying the artwork in some of these games isn't phenomenal. But because you know, and that cynical side of me says there's an audience out there for sure, but is it big enough? Is it organized enough? Does it buy enough? Is it self-fulfilling enough to have players go back time and time again? That's where all of these games, I think, in my opinion, are lacking. There's not enough on the investment side to drum up support. There's not that person going LGS to LGS to explain the game, offer the support, discounts on prices for any of these games to get a real audience built up. There's not free tournaments with amazing prizes to get your fan base built. They're all lacking it. And Magic, just being lucky enough to be the first game that really hit big and had such an amazing formatted style to the game, that it's probably going to dominate the top spot for as long as the fans keep buying the game. It's hard to attract new players to Magic, just as hard as it is for Sorcery, Lorcana, FAB, or any of the other games out there. And I grew up in a time where we saw a whole bunch of TCGs come to market in a weird kind of 1993 to 96 era, and they all fell to the wayside except for Magic. I've been there and seen this stuff before, and I know enough about marketing to understand if you don't have an audience for your game, if it's only being fueled by speculation and people hoping to make it rich, and they're going to talk the game up but not deliver on the game experience, players are aware of that. They know what's happening around them, where Magic has that solid kind of building block. Pokemon has that solid base built in there, and kids who grow up into Pokemon. Remember Detective Pikachu? They are growing up, and the company is taking care of those new customers by giving them toys, TV shows, experiences beyond just the physical card game, which is why new card games coming up have such a wall against them, already built around all these other IPs and all these years of experience of all these companies, which again just makes it unlikely that any of these games will stand the test of time in the long run. They may have a good run for 10, 15 years, but overall, audiences move on, fans grow bored, and they don't watch anymore, and they don't follow what's going on. When you look at the content creation for all the other games I talked about, when you compare it against the juggernaut that is Pokemon, that is Magic, they're not even comparable. They're not even on the same scale. So for that reason, most of these games are not going to make it, in my opinion. They're going to fall to the wayside, where a game like Magic, as long as they don't burn it to the ground any worse than they already have, we've already got crispy edges on that game, there is a chance that it's just going to stay the top dog forever. Guys, thanks a lot for hanging out. Thanks for being here on the channel. I would love to hear your opinions on this. I'm sure I'm going to get a few people out there who are very strongly opinionated on why Magic will fail, that's okay. I want to hear that too. Let me know if I've missed any sides of this argument. Let's keep that conversation going. And don't forget, bring a friend to Magic. I'll see you guys tomorrow for another video. I guess this is Monday, which means there'll be a ban announcement from Wizards. I'll see if we'll do a bonus video on all that crazy stuff that was going on the reserve list for the Sunday top 10. I'll see you guys later. Have an awesome day. Hey guys, a big shout out and thank you to the amazing patrons we have on this channel supporting the daily uploaded content. Without their support, this channel wouldn't exist. So thanks again for being here. I'll see you tomorrow. Have an awesome day, everyone. Welcome back. We're here at the Ramble Jam. We're at the end of the video. And that's what me and my friends did. We sat around humming and hawing about all the possibilities of games succeeding or failing. Why they did. Games like Illuminati, Overpower, Spellfire, these games failed. They failed in the long run. They were around for a few years, sure, but audiences moved on. Players want there to be value in the game if they're paying top dollar for cardboard. There has to be something backing it up. Even a game like FAB, which has some backdrop value, it's only in the eye of the beholder because we've seen so much of these things fall in price. We saw the collapse of what happened around Monarch and stuff, that I'll be curious to see how this is all going to play out in the long run. Will some of these games stick around? That's the question. If they can, if they can hang in there for the test of time, and if they keep innovating the product, there's always a chance of everything. I'm never going to say never. It just doesn't look like the juggernauts that exist now can be overtaken by anything these companies are doing because they can't match up to the sheer dollar value that these other companies like Pokemon and Magic can put behind their products. Guys, thanks a lot, man. Thanks for hanging out and chilling here. Put a boomstick in the comment section. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a great day.